male or female, like no tea, no shade, like humbly, I know I rap better than a lot of men.
I've been hurting, but with purpose. I've been working on myself. I've been looking in the mirror like queen, ain't nobody else. Better than you, hotter than you, better than you, hotter than you, better than you, hotter than you. Girl, you top two, and you not two.
Kinfolk, what is good? It's your girl Ken, and I welcome you to another episode of the Keys and Seeds podcast. As I was talking, I'm like, I should have rhymed. Kinfolk, what is good? It's your girl Ken, and I welcome you again. There we go, to the Keys and Seeds podcast, or for the first time if this is your first time here. And if this is your first time here, I'm not gonna lie, this is a crazy place. This is a crazy episode to be tuning in for the first time at. Like, it's a weird episode if you don't know nothing about me, but I'm happy to have you here. You are here just in time for me kicking off a new season of this podcast. This is season 3, and this season we are finally having reflection. We are finally having conversations around my art, my music, the music that I have released up to this point. And I'm super excited. I'm super excited because if I have a podcast and if I'm on here yapping and I make music, and I've been making music longer than I've been podcasting, but I haven't really talked about my music on the podcast, it's like, girl, what you really rapping about? What are you really yapping, rapping, talking about if you not talking and yapping and rapping about your raps, you know? So yeah, before we get into that though, just a few housekeeping items. If you are not already subscribed to the newsletter, please head over to the new website, iykyk.com. Thank you to those who have already subscribed. But again, if you have not already subscribed, please make sure you go do that. Please make sure you're also subscribed to the YouTube channel, like and share anything that resonates with you. Meet me in the comments. Let's have conversation. Follow the podcast on your favorite podcast app, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. It really helps the ranking and the engagement of the show itself on podcast apps. So whether you're watching me visually or you're listening audibly, please check in on both the visual and the audio itself. And yeah, I think that's it. As we are talking about my music in this episode, my latest single, which I dropped this past September of 2024, Affirmations, is out now. New music is coming soon. However, before we get into new music, before we release new music, I want to take some time to just reflect on the music that I have released up to this point. Because again, I haven't had conversations about them. And so I'm really excited to finally start having conversations around my art and the art that we already have been having conversations about. We, as in the people that have been locked in with me on this journey that I've been on as an artist prior to me becoming a podcaster. And so we are here. And also really quick, before we jump into the episode, this past Saturday, I had a show. Shout out to Serious Black. We raised over $700 for Sudan and Palestine. Is it Palestine or Palestine? I always hesitate with pronouncing that. So if I pronounced it wrong, forgive me. But yeah, it was a benefit show, and it was a great feeling to know that I was able to use a gift and a talent that God has given me, and not only encourage and inspire others through that, but also be a part of an event where we raised money for a good cause. Like, these raps are really changing lives. That's crazy. So I'm still performing. I'm still making music, you know. Just give me some time to, you know, get back to where I was. Because if you've been following my journey, you know that I came out the gate swinging. And I've always had like this drive and this ambition. And it's still there. I still have it, you know. But I am just in a place right now where I want to be even more intentional about my releases. In the past, I would hold on to things and, you know, sit on music because I care about how my artist presented to the world. And I kind of got wrapped up in everything got to be perfect. But at the end of the day, like, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff, you know? And it really does make a difference how you package and present something to the world, right? Like, as an artist, like, I'm world bending, and if you're an artist, like, you get it, you understand. But I'm definitely at a place now where I'm like, I don't just want to hoard things. I definitely want to just unload the clip. But I have to pay for studio time, and so I'm also in this place of knowing that I should probably learn how to record myself, you know, just for the sake of convenience. And yeah, so new music is coming, y'all. I just got to pay for studio time. And right now, you feel me? It's a whole lot going on in my life. But plans are being made. I had the plan. I just needed the platform. But no. So yes, let's get into it. So I got my Bandcamp pulled up. And my Bandcamp is Kyndl Music, KYNDL music.bandcamp.com. And that is where you can find all of my music. When I say all of my music, I mean all of my music. Everything I have ever released. Freestyles, remixes, the Instagram car freestyles, everything is on my Bandcamp. And so I also want to have some exclusivity with my Bandcamp. And so there's just going to be certain things that's just not going to be on Apple Music or Spotify. And so tap in with my Bandcamp. If you want to know about my journey and see my evolution as an artist, go to my Bandcamp. And if you want to support me as an independent artist, go to my Bandcamp and purchase something. Please leave a donation. Yeah, so Bandcamp is really just the home for all of my music, and it also gives you an option to purchase my music. You will get a download, and I will receive a financial donation from you, and I will greatly appreciate it. But anywho, so as we are kicking off this season, I first want to dive into my singles, right? And so this is going to be part 1 of the singles. And for part 1, we are going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to go through 5 of my singles. And the 5 singles we are going to start with is Wassup, Rebranding, No Complaints, Swimming, and 222. Now, if you're familiar with my music and I said a song or two that you don't recognize, again, tap in with my Bandcamp, okay? Okay, so starting with Wassup. Okay, so first of all, my thought process behind this was, you know, we gonna work our way up. We gonna work our way to the present moment, right? Like we gonna start from the very beginning. So we gonna do the singles, then we gonna do the EPs, then we gonna do the albums, right? So now, boom, if we starting at the base level, singles, boom. If we starting from the beginning, right? Wassup was not the first single that I released. However, it is the first single that I released that's not on my first project. And so right now we're just going through singles that aren't on projects, right? And so with that said, Wassup was one of my first singles that I dropped that literally was just a single. And I dropped that in October of 2018. Y'all, I have been doing music since 2018. It's now 2025. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. And when things really start to pop off for real, like pop off, word to distinct, I don't need nobody saying I'm an industry plant. I blew up overnight, because baby, I didn't. I didn't, okay? But yeah, out the gate, I started off using YouTube beats, y'all. And I have no shame. No shame at all. Boom. Wassup was produced by B Young, a producer who I found on YouTube. The cover art for the song was a picture that I took while I was in New York. This was... when was I in New York? Probably around that same time. Because I graduated college during the pandemic. And I was in New York for a mission trip that I was able to go on while I was still a student. And so I want to believe, like, I believe I went to New York like around that same time that I dropped the song. But basically, you know, just to explain the cover art, right? The cover art is a picture that I took while I was in New York, and then I put it in Pixar and I edited it, and that's how we got the cover art. So cover art credits goes to me as an independent artist, right? Like, sometimes we kind of got to learn how to do everything, you know, to be cost effective. And, you know, just as creatives too, we like to be in control of our whole vision, right? So yeah, cover art credits goes to me. And as far as like how the song came about, mind you, like I said, this was one of my first singles. And as I've said before, I grew up in the church singing, but I've always been a writer, right? And so before it was raps, it was poems. Before it was poems, it was short stories, right? And so I've always been, you know, writing. And raps kind of just came about because, like I said, I was writing poetry, but also too, the type of music that I was listening to, like I just always was fascinated with rap, right? And so it was just one of those things where I'm like, okay, singing comes natural for me, but like rapping, like this is a really cool genre, right? Like, as a fan of hip hop, I want to be able to also rap. And so it was just one of those things where I'm like, well, if I can write, if I can sing, right? Like, why not try my hand at rapping, right? And so that's kind of how I, you know, got into the genre of hip hop specifically, but also because I'm really a fan of music, and I study and I, you know, pay attention to, you know, the history and, you know, the evolution of things, right? I'm like, if I'm a be within the genre of hip hop, right? Like, I kind of gotta, you feel me? Like, pay respect to like what really makes hip hop, if that makes sense, right? And so the sound of this single is very much so a boom bap type of beat. And when I first started rapping, those were the type of beats that I was drawn to. Also, to give context, around this time, or not around this time, in high school, because mind you, like I said, I was in college when I first started putting out music, right? But I remember in high school, I graduated high school 2016, to give context. High school 2016, college 2020. I remember I was a freshman in high school and Joey Badass dropped 1999. One of the biggest projects at that time during the blog era. And I was a huge Joey Badass fan, right? So that also provides context as to what I was listening to and what I was inspired by, right? And so like that classic, purist, you know, hip hop, boom bap type sound, like that was my vibe. That was what I was on. That's what I was going for. Because also too, coming into the genre and, you know, putting myself out there as a rapper, right? I wanted to be taken seriously as a lyricist, as a hip hop artist, right? Like that was my whole intention. Like I'm the type of person, if I'm gonna do something, like I'm gonna do it to the highest level I have the capacity to be able to do it, right? Not saying that any other subgenre of hip hop is not real, quote unquote, hip hop, but you know, that was just, you know, my thing. If I know that there's, you know, a certain type of hip hop artist, you know, with the sound that I admire and I respect, in my mind, I'm like, I want to replicate that. I want to emulate that, right? However, I will say though that even though I am like still a lyricist and no one can ever take that away from me, I am glad that I evolved past that sound, because it's nothing, you know, wrong with, you know, the boom bap, you know, subgenre or, you know, whatever case may be, right? Still, it has my love, it has my respect, but I'm just saying, for me personally, me as a one-on-one artist, right? I'm not a female Wu-Tang member. I'm not a, you know what I mean? I'm me. And as I have been learning me, I have been learning my sound, and I have been realizing that that's not my sound. And so it's like weird to like now, years later, like reflect on like my past releases. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's cringe because it's like, girl, this is not even your sound. But we were getting there. We all got to start somewhere, right? And so, yeah. That's kind of what like the inspiration behind it was. Also at that time, Pro Era was really big. Wassup by A$AP Rocky specifically kind of inspired this song, and so that's why the song is called Wassup. At the end of the song, I say reporting live, and like the way in which I said it, like that was inspired by Joey. And so honestly, I feel like if you really listen to my music, you can tell who I'm inspired by in my art, you know? But a lot of like my favorite artists or, you know, rappers, not every artist who's my favorite is an inspiration, right? Like I wouldn't say I make music like them, but I would say like for my music specifically, if you listen to me, you can be able to tell who inspires me 9 times out of 10. And so I think I was like pretty like loud and, you know, in people's face about that when I first started off, and I didn't have any shame about that because it's hip hop, right? Like I don't know, like I think it's weird when people don't want to acknowledge who it is they're inspired by, you know? As long as you're making it your own, you know, to an extent people can tell like whether or not you being authentic or if you just trying to be somebody else. But yeah, so now getting into the lyrics, I said, not in my final form, but I'm in your final four, or you a sexist. I came out the gate and let y'all know, like, hey, I know I rap for real, and I know I'm a woman, but if you don't say I'm nice, you a hater. You a hater. Because you feel me, like male or female, like no tea, no shade, like humbly, I know I rap better than a lot of men. So yeah, like really, like as a fan of hip hop, as someone who has really studied the genre, right? Like just listening to like my delivery, like my flows, the pockets, like I'm really nice. And I knew that out the gate. right? And so I'm grateful, for the love and the validation that I've received, throughout the years. But like I knew from jump that I was her. Respectfully. And I love that for me. I love that for me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. The sprinkles of letting y'all know, you feel me? I'm tapped in with God. Like, that has always been there. I then also said, my thoughts get hectic. Yeah, I'm anxious. But I'm waiting and right? That was low-key a nod to chaotic before I even knew that chaotic was going to be chaotic. And I love that. Skillet toast, underrated. The irony in me saying, I just want to make my mama proud and make my daddy wish he never left me, right? On one hand, right, I know that I have people-pleasing tendencies, and I get that from wanting to please my mom. And I am at a place now where I am realizing I have to live life for me. I'm still honor my parents like the words say, right? But like, it don't matter if you making your parents proud if you are not making God proud, if you are not proud of the life that you are living for yourself. And so on one hand, I'm like, of course I want to make my mama proud, but it comes from a different place now, right? So I'm able to reflect back on where I was coming from when I said that, and I'm like, nah. Not still coming from that place, but also too, the irony within that is my dad and I have reconnected, and I was a very hurt and bitter young child, but we are healing with the grace of God. So shout out to God. Moving on though, rebranding. Child, I don't even know where to start with rebranding. I really don't, because long story short, because I also don't want to make this episode too long, and I feel like it's about to be super long. But shout out to P. He made this beat. He makes a lot of my beats. And the long story short behind this song is the fact that I recorded this after I did Rhythm and Flow. And I've actually done an episode about my experience being a part of season 1 of Rhythm and Flow. And so if you have not tuned into that episode yet, go do that. But long story short, again, because I feel like I took super long on that first song. I recorded this song after I did Rhythm and Flow, and it kind of was like my diss track, response track to Chance and everybody on the internet who was like dragging me for my name after that moment. And shout out to Watts, because I recorded it with Watts, and Watts is the one who is like doing like the like all the ad-libs at the end, right? And it was just like a super like, just, you feel me? I'm from the east side, you feel me? So like like those two sides of me of like, nah, like let me school you real quick, right? Like, I'm smart, I'm educated, right? But I'm also, you feel me, like, don't get it twisted, like so that was really like the energy I was like coming from with that. But also too, like when I reflect back on this time period of my life, I'm always reminded of the fact that I had someone in my ear telling me that I should make a song like this and stand my ground, right? Like, because at first I wasn't even gonna like capitalize on that moment in the way in which I did with this song. But I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let me just put it in the music and respond. And then once I did it, the same person who was in my ear telling me I should do it was then telling me that I shouldn't have done it because it kind of looked, I don't know, like it was just like, I'm not even gonna give them like the time of day for real, but like that was also just a thing, you know, like just different people in your ear. Like, one thing I have learned is do what you feel is best for you as an artist. not saying don't listen to anybody else and, you know, their opinions and, you know, whatever, right? But yeah, that was just a weird time in life. Also, like, the irony in that, like, as I reflect back on this song, like, today, at the end of the song, I added a poem about Trump, right? The poem was titled, or is titled, Orange is the New Black. And it was, you know, in reference to the fact that a lot of people was saying Trump is orange, right? And then, of course, you know, Jeezy got, you know, my president is black, my Lambo is blue, right? And so that's kind of like where the inspo for that came from. And I wrote this around the time, like, Trump first was getting in office. And so just reflecting on the fact that, like, I mentioned, like, the nigger navy and... Bro, like, that was a time on Twitter, the whole nigger navy thing. OMG, y'all. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, for real. Like, I think that's all I really have to say about that. I feel like I said what I said in the song. Like, you know, like, art is open to interpretation, but I'm not someone who writes very, like, cryptic, you know? Like, what I said in the song is what I said, you know? So that's what that song was. It was just a response to that moment, after that moment that I had on Rhythm and Flow. The next song we about to get into is No Complaints, featuring JB, my girl Jada Bell. Shout out to her. I love her so much. And again, as I said, I've always been very vocal about my background being my faith and the fact that I was, you know, raised in the church. And so No Complaints was just one of those records where I'm like, I'm grateful. I know that I shouldn't have anything to complain about, right? Like, although I could complain, why would I, right? Like, I have so much to be grateful for. And so that kind of was like the inspo behind that song. Just to be transparent, I wrote the whole song, and I then just reached out to Jada and was like, hey girl, could you sing these parts that I know that I want sung? Because I want, like, a different, like, vibe added to it. Like, I don't want to be the one to sing it, but, like, you would sound fire on this. And so JB, she pulled up, she came and she killed it, and I'm so appreciative. My favorite part about the song, though, is when I say, I'm trying to be a superstar. I want my money. Oh, the movie Superstar, one of my favorite movies. If you know, you know. But yeah, also shout out to Kyndl because he's the one who produced the song. Cameron, my boy Cam, he's the one who made the cover art. And the concept behind the cover art was, I know growing up in church, we would have this thing called, and we still do it, like these, like, complaint jars. So whenever you find yourself complaining about something, add a quarter to the jar. And basically, like, you know, once it fills up, or, you know, by a certain time, however much money, you know, however many quarters you got within it, like, we donate it to, you know, someone in the community or something like that, you know, kind of just keeping us in that space of being humble and, you know, grateful. So again, that's No Complaints. Swimming, I dropped 2 different versions of this song. I can't remember why. I think the original version might have been to a YouTube beat. That's why. And then I ended up having Legendary make, remake the beat, or, like, make me, you know, a new beat for the song. And so I think that's kind of, like, how that came about. I'm pretty sure that's how it came about. But if you know, you know, or if you don't know, Mac Miller is one of my favorite artists. I'd say he's my biggest inspiration. As an artist, just how vulnerable he is in his music, how melodic he is in his music, how soulful he is in his music. For me personally, in order for me to be a fan of someone's music, I also have to be a fan of who I perceive them to be as a person. And I don't know, I just always resonated with Mac. Like, anyone who knew Mac, right? Like, everyone speaks very highly of him. And so, yeah, I love Mac. And so when he passed, like it really hit me. It really affected me. Like I really was like crying. I really cried. And I felt moved to write this song. And what I really love about this song is the fact that not only is it an ode, me paying homage to, my biggest inspiration as an artist, as it relates to my sound. And then too, like to see his evolution as an artist. Please stop playing with that man's name. Please stop playing with Mac Miller. Anywho, like not only do I love this song because it's a song that I wrote in honor of one of my biggest inspirations as an artist, but if you know, if you're a Mac fan, like, within the song, I weaved together like different song titles of his. And yeah, like 14 Missed Calls, San Francisco, Godspeed, Grand Finale. Like if you really like listen and pay attention to the lyrics, I weaved together different song titles of his. And so that's another reason why I love that song. And I also love that song because, again, it's very sing-song, melodic-y. And I really feel like that's my sound. And so although I still have those songs where I'm like really like rapping, because I want y'all to know and respect me as a lyricist, like when I say Mac Miller is one of my favorite artists, it's because of the fact that he's very melodic and soulful, and you know what I mean? Like, and I believe that that's my sound. And so I also love that song specifically because I feel like it's a great representation of like who I am as an artist. Like I'm flowing is, it's very poetic. Flowing, swimming. Like you feel me? I'm flowing. But like in a very sing-songy way, and like I feel most in my bag for real when I have songs like that. So expect a lot more of that from me in the future. And then last but not least, we got 222 with my girl Auntie Joe. At the time of this recording, Royal Rumble being hosted here in the city of Indianapolis is this upcoming Saturday, and my girl is coming out here to Indy to not only visit me but to attend the event with me. I'm really only going because that's a whole nother thing. But shout out to my girl. I don't really know nothing about WWE for real, but like that's her thing. That's my girl. I haven't seen her in a while. She's been talking about coming out here to visit me, and so yeah, shout out to Joe. I'm so excited to see her and to experience something new with that this weekend. And so also, with me mentioning features and, collaborators, right? I did not think to like get other people's, input within, these episodes that I'm recording, because I really want to, be in control of the narrative and, explain, my journey as an artist, right? Like from my own perspective, because I feel like that's the most important. However, I am appreciative of the collaborators who have contributed to my art as well. And so we are going to get people's input within the content that I post and promote for these episodes. And so if you are not following me, if you are not following the pod, please make sure you do that. We are going to just be sharing old memories and content and, thoughts from all of the artists who I've worked with. And so I'm super excited about that as well. But yeah, last but not least, we got 222 with my girl Auntie Joe. This is when I was super big into the angel numbers and everything. It's not really my thing now. Whenever I do come across some numbers, right? Like I contributed to the Strong's Concordance and how that connects to the Bible, right? But I love this song because it's such a vibe. It makes me just feel good. Like people say you changed and I say, oh, you right. Like I love this song so much. Like it just make it I don't know, like the feeling that I get is like blissful. And it's Joe, it's my girl. She slid, like ate it up. Like she's not super big into the music thing anymore, like in the way in which I am, but like I'ma definitely, you feel me, pull her out the shadows for like a feature or two in the future still because she's nice. So yeah, she don't really take it serious, but shout out to my girl Jo. She's hard, and I just love this song. I love what she added to it, and this song really just came together off the strength of me vibing with her, where she was staying at the time, and she was in Nashville. And so I remember I had visited Nashville for my birthday. This was during the pandemic. Yeah, I was in Nashville during the pandemic. I remember partying with my mask on out there in Nashville. They say it's the white people Atlanta. They was absolutely turned, and I loved every second out there. I loved it out there. It was a music city. It was a vibe. And as I said, she was staying out there at the time. So really it was just let's go book a session and go record something, you know, because we've both always been, you know, into music, a fan of music, right? Musically inclined. And so it kind of just was like one of those, like, let's just book a session. And like the song literally came together like within an hour right then and there. It literally was such like a wholesome vibe, and the song itself is a vibe. So yeah, I really love this song. Shout out to Taiwan. He produced it. It was recorded at the Underground studio in Nashville. Not too familiar with it, but yeah. I feel like there is like going to be something that I forget as I'm reflecting on all of these releases. But to plug the Bandcamp again, if you go to the Bandcamp and you click on the different releases, I have descriptions added to the songs. And so I've also been very excited about adding descriptions to the songs just to give and provide context to, you know, the records. Like, hey y'all, this is what this is about, this is how it came about. And yeah, like I've been doing that with the releases as well. And so I really don't want to regurgitate what's in the description, but also just want to let y'all know like it's there as well. So anything that I did miss, you can find it in the description. But yeah, like overall, I feel like my sound has been very evident from the jump, right? Like, as I said before, I believe my sound is more melodic, but even if I'm singing the raps, just know I really rap. And I really love rap. I really love singing. I love both. I love doing both at a high level. I love music. And I'm really just excited to see how my art will continue to evolve. And I'm excited to work with new artists. That's definitely like a goal too. Like, of course, you know, if I work with an artist that I've already worked with in the past, of course I would love to work with them again. But I know I also want to just work with new artists, and as many artists that I'm actually a fan of, you know, as I can, you know. And we gonna get into it, but you know, you can look at my album Kites, and it's features riddled through that entire album, and it's because I'm a fan of those people. And I've always been a very collaborative, community oriented, you know, type of person. And so again, I'm just excited to just share with y'all the new things that I've been working on. And I'm excited to share with you all art that I am making with other people as well. And so I don't want to make it too long, as I said, but that is what I have for part 1 of me reflecting on the art. I feel like as far as like the lyrics and like substance, I really don't have like a whole lot to say about those records in particular. But yeah, let's have conversation though in the comments if you are tuning in on YouTube. Let's have conversation in the comments of the content that I will be posting and promoting for these episodes. And yeah, once again, make sure you guys subscribe, follow the pages, follow the podcast on your favorite podcast app, leave a rating, all of those good things. I will see you guys in the next episode for part 2 of the singles. I love y'all. Jesus loves you more. Bye.